the feedback has been mixed. We've gotten a ton of hateful comments. We've got 1-star reviews, people saying horrible things about us. And so it's unfortunate, but we've also got a lot of support. And so we're grateful for the support. But again, this is a divisive, topic, and it's a huge battle that we face.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Windsor, Ontario, and I'm with Jason Carruthers. He is the owner of Mad Wax. It is a fantastic little beauty boutique here. But what isn't so fantastic is what Jason has gone through in terms of the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal. Namely, they took on a complainant who was allegedly denied a service here, and they ruled in favor of the complaint. And what a price Mr. Carruthers has to pay. So, Jason, let's go down to the beginning of the story. You receive a phone call from an individual. This is years ago. And what was the nature of that phone call, to the best of your recollection?
Right. So, here I'm just running my business, and I'll give you an example. It's like I was been told by my lawyers to be careful about not talking about the case in specifics, but what I can say is this. Say you run a small restaurant and someone orders something that's not on the menu, and you say, well, we don't have that, but we can give you this other vegetarian dish. Is that okay? And they say, no, I don't want that. And furthermore, I don't like the word vegetarian. So now you turn around and you're faced with an accusation of discrimination, and you're faced with, using the wrong words. So there was no discrimination. I didn't discriminate against anybody. We welcome everyone. But here I am faced with this order to pay $35,000. I feel it's very unjust. And of course, we're going to fight it,
And Jason, if I can, the nitty gritty of the story here, this is a biological male identifying as a female, and he essentially wanted his male genitalia waxed. But you don't provide such a service here, is that correct?
Well, that's true. We don't provide certain services. We do waxing, but certain things, there's special training. It's just not something that we offer.
Right.
This could happen to any small business owner. You're minding your own business, and then suddenly you're accused of these things. This could happen to anybody. So obviously, I face a huge legal battle. And we've got to pay for all the legal expenses that go along with this.
And you don't even know who the name of your accuser. He's listed as AB, I understand, or do we know some other factors?
There is an order, I believe, to protect identities, yes. And so I'm going to respect that.
Okay. But at the end of the day, this escalates to the point where this person takes you to the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal. Your case is heard. Yeah. And at the end of the day, he wins, you lose. He is awarded, $35,000 for hurt feelings?
I was ordered to pay, yes, $35,000 for discrimination, alleged discrimination, and reprisal. And I'm saying that that's completely unfair. I did not discriminate against anybody. I didn't reprise against anybody. But again, we're going to have to see what happens in the judicial review. It will be a panel of 3 judges who are going to look at this, and I believe will be fully vindicated.
What fascinates me about this case, Jason, is that some 5 years ago, the notorious Jonathan Yaniv, a.k.a. Jessica Yaniv, a.k.a. Jessica Simpson, he went to several in-home spa services, typically being operated by females who were new Canadians, and demanded that his male genitalia get waxed. I think he filed somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 BC Human Rights Tribunal complaints. So at 10 grand a complaint, that's a nice annual salary. But as left-leaning as the BC Human Rights Tribunal is, not only did they dismiss these cases, but they awarded Mr. Yaniv to pay partial costs to some of the people he was going after. What is different between what he tried to do 5 years ago in BC and what this person did to you right now?
Well, that's a great question. I really don't know too much about that case. I'm sure there are some similarities, but It seems to me that in that case, from what I understand, those business owners were found not guilty of any wrongdoing.
Yes.
And so the biggest difference is that the tribunal found that I was guilty of alleged discrimination. So to me, that's the biggest difference. And I don't understand how this is possible. Again, we live in Canada. As long as you follow the laws and mind your own business, these things shouldn't happen.
I think it's outrageous, and I don't see the difference other than two different provinces at play here. And I noticed when I was going through the findings of the report, one of the problems the adjudicator had, Karen Dawson, was that you were speaking about this in the media. God forbid, I thought we had freedom of speech, freedom of press. Why was that problematic to her?
Well, again, I guess it's certain things that I said. I'm not really sure exactly how they view it, but to me, I agree that it's just me speaking the truth at the time. I wasn't trying to reprise against anyone, and so that's how they interpret it. How did they come to that conclusion? Well, obviously, I feel that's very wrong, and so that's why I'm fighting it. Their conclusion is wrong. It's unjust.
You know, my boss, Ezra Levant, he feels that 2024, the best descriptor for it is the year of censorship. BC, Bill C-11, C-18, C-63, perhaps the most censorious bill ever introduced in the history of the Western world, and I'm not exaggerating. And to me, Jason, this sounds like the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal saying, we are going to discipline you and you are going to shut your mouth or else added damages for this complainant. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I do feel pressure to be quiet. And like I said, I mean, my lawyers, I have great lawyers, and they've said very strongly, it's best not to talk. Do not talk about the case. Yeah. So I have to be very careful what I say. But you shouldn't have to be careful about just simply saying the truth and following the law.
Yes.
That shouldn't be a problem.
And also, when it comes to the decision, Jason, I think he was seeking $50,000. He got $35,000. And again, much of the disclosure is a he said, she said kind of argument. But it looks like the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal, at least this adjudicator, believes like gospel, whatever the complainant has to say. But $35,000? How in the world is that justified?
How is that justified? Again, I feel it's just not justified at all. And again, I maintain what I've said before. I did not discriminate against anybody. I work hard to try to find customers. And so for them to say that I have to pay $35,000, there's no justification for it at all.
And let's talk about that. You operate this beautiful spa with your wife. And for you're a small businessman, $35,000, is that chump change to you, or is this a major hit?
Yeah, quite the opposite. It's not chump change at all. This is a huge amount of money that I just can't afford to pay. And it's, even if we win, which I'm hopeful we are going to win, it's just a legal cost that I wasn't expecting.
And that's a good point. Sometimes with these cases, even when you win, it's almost that the process is the penalty. You have legal fees to pay. But importantly, because in my opinion, a human rights tribunal is akin to a kangaroo court. You're seeking justice via a real court with your lawyer. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's the Human Rights Tribunal. Yes, from what I understand, it's a tribunal, not a court. It's not civil, it's not criminal. But we've applied for a judicial review, which is, I believe it's an actual Ontario court.
Yes.
It'll have 3 judges. It'll panel of 3 judges who will look at the evidence and make a decision at that point.
And do we know anything about the adjudicator? Karen Dawson, I know according to the Sunshine List, she makes over 137,000 plus benefits. Must be nice. I don't think 35 grand is a big deal to her. But do we know anything about her leanings that she would decide the case in the way she did?
I have no clue. I don't know who she is or what her political views are. I really don't.
Okay, and I guess it's important to know to notice actually, Jason, you have come up with a GoFundMe plea. Can you tell us about that? Can you give us the name of that GoFundMe website?
Sure. I mean, it's a GoFundMe just to cover the legal expenses which we face, and it's called Justice for Jason Madwax Legal Defense Fund.
Okay, so Justice for Jason Madwax Legal Defense Fund.
Yep.
Tell me, what feedback when you deal with your customers, your friends, your family, passersby, what has been the feedback about this decision? Because it has been getting publicity. What is the nature of that feedback?
Yeah, well, look, I really did not want to ever go to the media. And this time around, I didn't seek anybody. The media has come to me because this was published online. The decision was published online. So the feedback has been mixed. We've gotten a ton of hateful comments. We've got 1-star reviews, people saying horrible things about us. And so it's unfortunate, but we've also got a lot of support. And so we're grateful for the support. But again, this is a divisive, topic, and it's a huge battle that we face.
Ontario school boards are out of control, as are so many others across our great Dominion. Where are the ministers of education to rein them in? They are sitting this out. But we are amassing a petition demanding action. Go to stopclassroomgrooming.com. That's stopclassroomgrooming.com. Put your name to that petition, and we will hand deliver it to the powers that be.